Hello and good evening. Welcome to another John Goes solo show because Swis is having a climbing competition tonight or today, so he couldn't make it. Maybe he will join me a little bit later, but I thought that I'm doing another solo just like a couple of days ago to fill you guys in. If it's too boring, just tune out. Otherwise, I would be grateful if you could give me a thumbs up. A little update here. Tomorrow, we will have our regular show, Swis and I, same time. Tomorrow, he promised that he'll be there. And tomorrow, we are gonna cover some new topics, while today I'm trying to come back to some questions that we had on the last show. And to be honest, I was not too happy how I covered the cylindrical hairspring and also how I covered the Zeitwerk. So I wanted to go back to that. So here in the comments, we have Gentleman's Hangout. Good to see you, JJ. You just want to talk watches? Me too. Voulez-vous is joining us. Hello. I hope that I can tune in to the book club tonight. I hope that it's not the last show, just like Crappy did. Oh, we have Quicker Than Drawing. Usually he just gives a comment that he's too late. So Quicker, good to see you. Hallo, wie geht's? Always good to see you. Dangerable Robinson is joining us, so we will have our most brutal moderator here, so guys, behave. We have Big Cell here in the comments. Only cool people are here. Well, yeah, with Swis here on board, it would be even cooler. We have Watches 63, like always, in the comments. Hello, good evening, good to see you. And we have Mark Kosmala from Central Park, New York City. Great place to live. So hello and thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we had one question on the last show that I would like to address. Somebody was asking about the new Nomos club watch, the Nomos Club Sports. And I would like to address that a little bit. So we have here the club collection or the club range, and the new one is here, the one with the slightly petrol-colored dial, and the other one with the slightly bluish dial. So previously, the Club Sport was a 42 millimeter watch with a big date. Just have a look at that massive date, which is quite unusual because we usually criticize people or watch companies for having the date too much inside. So Nomos went the other way, and they did that with a trick. So I'm trying to show you the movement. That is the movement of this particular watch. And instead of having the date window in the center, they have the date window outside, just like you see here on this picture. So the date is outside of the movement and not an integral part of the watch movement. So that is why this date is so far outside. A very unique design touch, in my opinion. Not everybody's cup of coffee, admittedly, but it's a very unique approach. So in my opinion, two main problems with this watch. The first problem is this one is 42 millimeters, rated to 1,000 feet, which is 300 meters depth. So like I keep on saying, Nomos watches are wearing relatively large for the indicated case size. Not sure if you experience that yourself. So I advise before you're buying a Nomos, just try one out. Usually 38, 37 millimeter is very, very much enough for my wrist size. So I haven't tried that 42 millimeter, but I guess that it will be too large. So the first flaw was that it was really big. The second flaw was here that dodgy 1000 meter logo underneath the small second, which was not really nice. What they improved against other club or previous club watches was the bracelet. Previously, they had this very minimalistic metal bracelet that I didn't like, and I think it was not really fitting to the brand. So now they updated it with a kind of oyster style bracelet, which is much nicer here on the Club Sport. And so they improved this watch a lot. You see, there is no date. The reason is this big movement with that big outside date wouldn't fit in a 37 millimeter watch case. So they had to get rid of that massive date. And the lack of date has been discussed with Swis, and I. Everybody has their own opinion. Swis is praising them for being symmetrical. I say I need a date. Well, here on the smaller one, they didn't use the date, and in my opinion, it looks really good, particularly without that depth rating underneath the small second hand. So what did I want to? Yes. One difference to the big Club Sport is this watch is rated to 200 meter. The bigger one is rated to 300 meters, but it's still enough to be qualified a diver's watch. Of course, doesn't fit the norms because it doesn't have the rotating bezel. So, but it's a very sporty watch, also with the bracelet. So, in my opinion, it's a very good competitor for the Rolex Explorer. In particularly as it wears larger than the 30 millimeters that is indicated. Keep in mind the Explorer is 36, so this is a little bit a bigger alternative, cheaper, and you can get it more easy. In my opinion, the movement is at least as well done as Rolex. Just have a look at that beautiful manufacturer movement that Nomos introduced a couple of years ago. Absolutely fantastic watch. In-house, their swing system, which means the entire system with a hairspring, and the balance wheel is also in-house and in-house constructed. Nomos is one of the few companies that make their own hairsprings, and I will address the hairsprings a little bit later. A very unique feature, and I wonder why other watch companies didn't already do that, is this is a screw-on crown. So you have to lock this crown. If you forget to lock it, it will compromise the water resistant. And what Nomos did was to introduce the red ring. Now, where do I find the red ring? I think I had it here somewhere, but as always, doesn't really work. Okay, so let me try to find the red ring. Where was it? Okay, let's Google that. Nomos Club Sport red ring crown. And we have a picture here. So now, that's funny. It redirects me to the Nomos webpage. Where is that picture? Okay, we have here an amateur. Oh, okay. Well, it's very easy because it was part of the page that I had before. So bear with me. Here is the ring. You can see the red ring. So it means when the crown is not locked, you can see this red part of the crown tubus, which is a very interesting feature, very practical and unique thing. I wonder why other watch companies have not introduced that. Here you can see the big one, but the red ring is also being found in the smaller one, so also in the 37mm watch. Price is 2,500 euros, which corresponds, I think, in the US it's around 3,000 bucks. Very good alternative, beautiful alternative to the Rolex Explorer. I hope that they will introduce the more classical dial colors, just like here the black, or maybe a white dial would be also very, very neat, very nice. Okay, so I'm checking the comments here if we have any kind of question. Big Sal is asking, is this movement with no quick set? You have to turn it past 12, then back to no. As far as I know, Big Sal, let me. So first of all, this movement doesn't have a date. So you're talking about the big one. I'm not really sure. I'll be honest, I haven't tried those new movements with the outside date, but I would imagine that it has a quick set. Maybe someone here in the audience knows it. Big Sal, good question. I can't reply to it at the moment, but it's an interesting question, and I'm going to ask if there is nobody here in the comments. So Mark is saying no date fan here, and so it seems that is the opinion here, that no date is an asset, and I can understand that, particularly as Nomos design is very reduced, so the lack of date is not really missed. But people have been complaining for years that Nomos didn't have a date on that classical layout, like the Tangente and other watches. So Nomos introduced those date functions. But in my opinion, the date function on the other watches is not really doing good to their design. Let me just show you the other watches with the date. Where is the... Okay, let's take the Tangente for a second. Where's the Tangente? Ludwig Tangente, yes. I think they have a date variant here. Here, that is the Tangente with date. Also, you can see it very, very far outside. I'm not sure if that is really in line with the minimalistic approach that particularly the Tangente has. So we have also Tangente Sport with crown guards. I personally don't need that. So, but people have been asking for it. I think Nomos is catering the market. In my opinion, the watches are getting a little bit big with that kind of date. Okay, so I think we covered the Club Sport now, and I will try to get you back to the cylindrical hairspring that we featured last week. And yes, I'm trying to spiral. So much easier when Swis is here. So let me find a picture. Okay. So we're getting now a little bit technical. So very important for the precision of a watch is the tick-tock that is being generated by the watch. And the most important part of this construction is the hairspring. The hairspring is responsible that the balance wheel is bouncing back and forth, and the more constant it does that movement, the better it is for the watch. That means the more precise the watch will be. So let me see if I can have the hairspring here. hairspring week is here. So here, that is the basic of a traditional hairspring, which is just done like a snail, like a spiral, and that thing is breathing up and down. You can see the two fixation points. One is at the very center of the hairspring, and the other one is at the outside of the hairspring. The problem with this kind of construction, if the hairspring is moving outways and inside, it kind of wobbles against the center, and in the center of this hairspring there are the pivots of the balance wheel. So as this spiral construction wobbles, it creates an error, and you may know a constant error is no problem. The problem is a watch is put into different positions, and that error changes depending on which position the watch is worn. If it's worn upside down, or if it's worn crown down, or whatever. So this is an issue that this spiral hairspring is kind of wobbling around the center. I tried to find you a video where you can see that wobbling, but it is more or less impossible to find a good video of the wobbling effect that this spiral hairspring has. So that is the problem, and a watchmaker called John Arnold invented something very neat, which is called the cylindrical hairspring. And I'm going to show you that. So here you have a cylindrical hairspring. So this is not a spiral. This is basically a cylinder. So every diameter of every turn on the hairspring is constant. And this kind of hairspring doesn't wobble around the center. Here you can see the center pivot, which is right in the middle of that spiral. So you can imagine that this cylindrical hairspring is not wobbling and bouncing around. This is breathing very equally. And I think I have a little video that shows it. We have Nicolas
here, but what is very specific is the main plate that is at the center of the movement and not at the bottom. We have this main plate at the center.
You can see it breathing
on the
regularly.
top we add 7 bridges, and on the back we add actually 10 bridges. This is a very unique construction for a mechanical movement. At 9 o'clock, feature a vertical line displaying all the regulating organ. And what is very specific with this construction, that each element of the regulating organs are fixed in an independent way by different bridges. On the top, you have balance bridge. On the middle, you have the bridge that receives the...
Obviously, in fact, the inspiration...
And you can see it also from the side.
And Ferdinand Berthoud today. And the combination of
you can see the breathing again.
Cylindrical hairspring, chronometer certified, was a feat in itself. It was very difficult to achieve, and we are very proud of this aspect here in this watch, because it simply has never been done.
Inspired from...
And here you can see the window where you can see the hairspring moving.
These pocket watches that had construction with pillars. This watch has no pillar here, but what is very specific is the main plate that is at the center of the movement and not at the bottom. We have this main plate at the center. On the top we add...
Okay, so this is the theory or the advantage that this kind of hairspring has over a traditional spiral hairspring. The problem is, just like you saw, and with this extreme prototype, you can see it very well. This is bloody thick. And so to introduce a cylindrical hairspring into a wristwatch is more or less impossible. And so you have to cut it down, but still it adds a lot of thickness to the watch. And so that used to be the problem, and that is still the problem. And now some watch companies have challenged this question and are using cylindrical hairsprings. Namely, it is Ferdinand Berthoud that we introduced last week. It is H. Moser. H. Moser is doing their own hairsprings, and their sister company, Precision Engineering, has a patent on those cylindrical hairsprings of the new kind. As far as I know, there is another watch company called Beauvais, and they have 1 or 2 watches also with a cylindrical hairspring. So why is that also important? It is just to improve the precision of a mechanical watch. The hairspring is a very important part of it, and so to work and optimize on the hairspring is never badly spent time. And the biggest or many of the big inventions have been around the hairspring. Just keep in mind, when those hairsprings first have been used, they have been done in steel. Steel is a good material, very elastic material, but the problem is that when steel is getting warm, it expands. So the main problem with those hairsprings in steel, no matter if they are cylindrical or in a shape of spiral, is the warmer the watch gets, the slower the watch is running. So the first challenges have been to have a kind of temperature compensation, and we told you on a previous show that this is done then not on the hairspring. This is done on the balance wheel. So the balance wheel is cut open. There are 2 different metallic elements, and those arms move when the temperature changed. And that deletes that effect of the expanding hairspring in steel. Later developments then were working on the alloys. So people have not been using pure steel, but other metals have been used then for those hairsprings that are less sensitive to changes in temperature, and also magnetism was a big issue with those steel hairsprings. So I think I made enough of a tangent on hairsprings. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background why this cylindrical hairspring is such an achievement and so special, and what the idea behind is. Because those cylindrical hairsprings are still used in mechanical chronometers. On a ship chronometer, you have more space. 1 second, I'll put a ship chronometer. On a ship chronometer, you have much more space, and so you can easily use a cylindrical hairspring. On a marine chronometer, precision is king, and they are using those cylindrical hairsprings on marine chronometers. Let's check if we have a movement picture here. Of course not. Yeah, but a very bad one. Here you can see the fusée chain. Unfortunately, the picture is too small. Okay, but as you can imagine, there is more space in a marine chronometer, so you have more space for the cylindrical hairspring. Okay, so what else did I forget to cover from last time? Oh yes, last time we also covered the new Lange & Söhne Zeitwerk, And I was a little bit unhappy that we couldn't show you the progress of the movement design. And I found a picture here that shows the old movement versus the new one. Yeah, here we are. So the old movement is on the left side, and the new movement is on the right side. So the main difference from the old movement to the new movement, you can see here on the top of the mainspring barrel. I like those interconnecting wheels that they left out then on the new one. The reason is on the new one there are two mainspring barrels stacked on each other, so they simply didn't have the space and they couldn't integrate it. So, but you also see here on the old movement, you can see parts of the side of the mainspring barrel. So it's a little bit more open. And Russ told me that he this anchor bridge here with that hook to him is more visually pleasing than the new one, which is very straight. So those are the main differences from a visual aspect. The additional feature is here, this button that can be pushed, and I think we covered that already. Let me try to show that to you. And there is a special function with a button as well. Okay, so last time we compared the old Lange Zeitwerk with the new one, and on the top side of the right watch, you have this additional button, and that is a quick change function for the hour. So if you're traveling, if you have to change the time zone, you just push that button and advance the hour display then for 1 hour. So, but Lange would not be Lange if they would make it special, because if you push that button, nothing happens. The hour just moves when you release the button. So it is a kind of counteractive button that they're using. Another very interesting feature is here the remontoire. We were talking about it last time. It takes a lot of energy to move those big discs for the hour and for the minutes. So the mainsprings would be far too strong to power the entire escapement. So what Lange does is to use a kind of remontoire. Remontoire is an additional mainspring that is wound and that is running down every minute. So the mainspring is winding up another spring. And why are they doing that? They want to compensate the strength of the spring when it's fully wound compared to the lack of power when it's almost running down. So that way, when you wind up this additional spring every minute, you don't have that error from those errors between a fully wound mainspring and a running out mainspring. Another feature you can see here on the right button, on the right side, that is a kind of wind wheel, that is a windbreak, because the power of this little spring is released immediately, and Lange wants to do it a little bit more constant. So they're doing a kind of a propeller here, which is then turned so that it doesn't explode, the power doesn't explode, but the power is released in a more constant and soft manner. So you see a lot of construction going on here on the Zeitwerk that you don't really realize when you're just looking at the movement. But you can see this additional spring. I hope that you can see it from my mouse. Once again, I try to make it a little bit bigger. This is the additional spring of the remontoire, which is wound. Here you can see the big mainspring barrel, and this big mainspring barrel is winding up that little spring that is underneath here, and that spring is wound up every minute, once a minute, and it is regulated here with those two ruby anchors. So that is the entire remontoire here in the Zeitwerk. Okay, very technical it was now. I hope that it was understandable. So Chris Clues is asking, what is the price difference between new and old? The problem is Lange is not communicating prices anymore. So it's very difficult to find old prices and new prices. There have been many price hikes. As far as I remember, the normal Zeitwerk previous generation was around 75, 80,000 in gold, and now it's over 100. So there is a massive price hike for the additional mainspring and for this additional functionality. Problem is with Lange, they are hiking prices at the moment. They are getting lower numbers, and they move up in terms of quality and also in terms of price. I'm hearing from Lange that only the senior watchmakers are allowed and able to assemble Zeitwerks. So only the very best watchmakers in the Lange factory are working on Zeitwerks, and they're only doing quite a limited number. Zeitwerk has many fans. I personally am not a fan of the Zeitwerk. I've said that many times. To me, a digital watch is not what I want. I want a mechanical watch, and I want a display with hands. Okay, so that was the update that I wanted to give you from the last show, just to elaborate a little bit. I have one more topic. Russ reached out to me, but I'm going to post the link if somebody wants to join me here. I'm posting the link here. So if you have questions, if you would like to join me while I'm doing solo, you're welcome. So I wanted to touch one more thing, the new Rolex, 1 second, the Deep Sea Challenge. There was a comment about the chamfer or the beveling. Let's have a look at the video. And we had the conversation last Wednesday, if I remember correctly. If that is the first case where this beveling is being done in titanium. Here, by the way, you can see the production of the titanium case, and here you can see the beveling. I said it on the last show that case makers are hesitant in making that chamfer or the chamfer or beveling, because titanium is a relatively porous material, and if you take material away from that, you're always running the risk of getting little holes, little bubbles then on a perfectly polished surface. So case makers have been very hesitant in doing that for many years. Now Rolex is doing that, but Rolex have not been the first and the only ones who have been doing that. And that was totally right on the last show. Lange and Söhne introduced their Odysseus in titanium. 1 second, Lange Odysseus titanium, and that bracelet of this particular watch is full of bevels in titanium. 1 second. Let me share the screen. Okay, here we go. So that is the Odysseus in titanium. Why isn't so? You can see all those little bevels here. That is also in titanium. And the second watch that I'm aware of bevels or chamfer, is the Laurent Ferrier. Brand Sports. I'm going to show it to you. Nice pictures. That is also a titanium watch. Let me check that I'm not showing you the steel one. Okay, here we are. So here on the case flanks and also on the bracelet, you can see those angles, those bevels in a titanium case and bracelet. So Rolex is not the first one, but it's still a challenge, and it is quite unique. So, do we have any questions? We have here Dodger saying hello. Crappy Luxury is joining us. Very good to see you, Crappy. I hope that you enjoyed my cheese picture that I'm not able to pull up here. I'm very happy to see. 1 second. Let me just. No, I'm not able to pull that up. So yes. So. Here, Ferdinand Berthoud was a completely unknown brand for OC up until a few weeks ago when I spent some time with Vincent Lapierre, the grand manager of the brand, who was demonstrating the new stunning FB3 in New York City. OC, if you're a regular on the Swis Jon show, we have been praising Ferdinand Berthoud since 1 year, and to us, Ferdinand Berthoud is not only the cylindrical tourbillon, but also that beautiful fusée chaîne. 1 second, let me. Ferdinand Berthoud. It's a fantastic brand. They won the GPHG, I think in 2016. Oh, thank you very much, Pinterest. Again, every time I'm looking for pictures, Pinterest is giving me some help. We have Muhammad Ali here in the house. Hello, Muhammad Ali. Good evening.
Hello, John. How you doing? Hope everything is well, and fantastic show so far.
I'm working like a horse here with the
I know.
I miss Swis so much.
We all miss Swis. Come back, please, tomorrow.
Yes, Swis, come back. So 1 second, let me show you the Fusée chaîne, which is absolutely gorgeous, by Ferdinand Berthoud. Okay, here's the Fusée chaîne by Ferdinand Berthoud, and that is their shtick. Very complicated, very marine-oriented watches, yeah, their Fusée chain is dare I say, even better than Lange & Söhne, I would say. So Muhammad Ali, how have you been tonight?
I've been very well, thank you. Yes.
Did you have dinner already?
Yeah, I had dinner earlier today. I was just doing the kind of the grocery shop, and so as I was finishing heading home, I tuned into your show. And I think it's brilliant that you go over ground of topics you've covered before, but you enhance. You care so much about the viewers that you kind of correct yourself, and you also enhance the knowledge that for all of us by kind of following up on topics. I think that's fantastic. You did that. Yeah,
we Germans have the image of being perfectionists. Sometimes it's very annoying, but I can't help myself. So yes, so yeah, I was a little bit unhappy because we have those horological features which are quite unique, but there is also there's always a reason for it. And if you see the history of watchmaking, precision is king. And Voulez-vous and Crappy will discuss that a little bit later with the chronometers for ships. If you want to navigate, you have to have a precise time. And so every deflection of the precision of a watch or of a clock on a moving ship is sending you hundreds of miles apart. So all those developments and all those features that we enjoy today have a long history, and a lot of smart people were trying to solve those issues. So, and sometimes we are obsessing about things, and we have to call that or to recall that there is a reason for most of those fantastic things that we can see.
Exactly. I like the kind of, when you went through the cylindrical hairspring, the kind of the point of it is to make it as accurate as possible. And if you're going to build a watch, you want a watch as accurate as possible. That's the whole point of time. It needs to be as accurate as possible. So, so if you're going to make an effort, go the whole hog, make it as best as you can.
That is true, but the problem, and that is what I enjoy about John Harrison and also John Arnold or others. Ferdinand Berthoud, by the way, he was not an inventor, but he took the developments of his colleague and he improved that. And I think that is also a skill. You don't have to invent something. Sometimes it's better that you improve existing things. So a combination of both is leading to success. So what did I want to say now? I was trying to make a point, but now I'm lost into my argument. So
I disturbed you. I'm sorry.
No. I think I disturb myself. That happens all the time. So yes. So yeah, that those are the topics that I wanted to touch. We were talking about navigating, improving, John Harrison. I'm just trying to come back. Yes, my point was back when John Harrison, for example, worked on his marine chronometers, there was no blueprint. There was no watchmaker school, just like we have today. So people can learn about the marvels that have been invented many centuries ago. But they didn't have watchmaker schools. John Harrison, as far as I know, he was working with wood. So he was not even a clockmaker back then. And those people have been really true pioneers and improved what we are enjoying today with nothing. They didn't have computers, they didn't have books, so they are self-taught, and with very minimal equipment, they achieved so beautiful and magnificent things. Did I talk you to sleep now?
No, I'm still awake. And I think you're right. I just Googled John Harrison. His stepfather was a carpenter, and he followed him into that profession initially, and then obviously then it kind of went into clockmaking and other things as well.
Yeah, have you heard about that project on crappy luxury? Have you heard about the book Longitude?
Yes, I've heard about that book a while ago. I've never read it, and it's probably something I should really kind of read and kind of understand. But that was all about the prize that the British Parliament gave to someone who could improve, the kind of accuracy of your position when crossing, oceans, and because it was obviously so important, because you don't want to be kind of heading to, to the US and end up in Brazil.
Yeah, it is. As far as I know, from reading the book, there was an incident when the British Marine, I think it was the Merchant Marine, they lost 2,400 people because of a navigation error, and that led the Parliament to put that prize out to anyone who could improve the navigation at sea. So there is a serious background behind that. Yeah, Voulez-vous says he did more than a project. He saved the world in many ways. I totally agree with that. I think a lot of souls at sea have been saved by his inventions. I totally agree with you. Okay, so OC is sleeping already. Do we have any questions in the audience? Otherwise, I'm closing this. This is not a threat. I'm just running out of material. Oh, what we could do is we could have a look at the Philips auction in Geneva. What do you think?
That'd be a good idea. I was following some of it earlier today on the Tea and Tickers channel, and it's fascinating. The kind of somehow some lots fetched kind of a lot of money, and other ones kind of were below their estimated amounts. But yeah.
So I have a question to OC, who is still in the audience. As far as I know, Philips is Philips. The results are always including tax. Is that correct, or is that a difference between New York and Geneva? I was too lazy and too busy to check that out. So I would like to know when. Here we have OC. 1 second. Hello. Good evening, OC. Hello.
Check.
Now I can hear you. Good to see you again.
Hope all is well.
Oh, very good. I'm swimming here without water. I hope that is not too embarrassing for everyone.
Not at all. You asking a question about the dollar figure of the results?
Yes.
If you zoom in a little bit, I'd be able to see what, like, for example, the first result was what number?
It is number 1 and sold for 30,000 Swiss francs. My question was, does that include the premium?
Yes.
The seller?
Yes.
The buyer's premium is included.
Yeah, 26%.
Okay. So those are final results, and then plus tax for the buyer, depending on where he lives.
Plus customs, then tax.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
But it could be quite expensive depending on where you are. Mm-hmm. So, for example, lot 1 sold for 20. The hammer price was 24,000.
Okay, 24,000 Swiss francs.
Yes, well, the Swiss franc, the U.S. dollar, and the euro are all equal parity, all 1 to 1 to 1. So you can convert it to whatever currency you like, and it's one of the beauties of having the rare occurrence of those,
the parity,
those recurrent parity on all those three of those. You don't have to do the currency translation in your head.
Okay. So any significant observations that you had from today's results?
There's a lot of Daytonas in the Philips auction over the today and tomorrow. Just a lot of Daytonas that are interesting. There was one result that I thought was really low. That was lot, and I was watching the whole thing live. Lot 34, which is a 36 millimeter day date, 34 platinum day date with diamond bezel, diamond dial, which sold hammer price me as 20, well. 22,000, which is and you have the number there with the premium there. It's very low for a beautiful piece like this.
A platinum day date.
Yeah. There's some all kinds of cool pieces. Lot 40, which is like a brown dial.
Before you go to the other lot, why do you think this one was selling so low? Is it because of the diamond bezel?
I think it's the combination of the diamond dial, the diamond bezel, and it's from 1989. Like it's old without a warranty, probably.
And even 36 millimeters.
Yeah, even though it had it was serviced in November of 2021, and it had the service papers with the presentation box and everything. So I thought that was a steal. I mean, it's not a typical guy's watch for sure, and it did look polished too. So maybe, people in the auction community, the collector community, probably shy away from that fact that it was serviced and polished. I don't see a big deal.
No, I think particularly with platinum, because the damages are not deep when you damage such a watch, so it can be polished out without losing too much material, in my opinion. Yeah,
there was an interesting debate. We were covering the auction live. Some of the collectors said these prices represented a crash, and others said that that the values seemed okay. And then there was also a big debate about whether or not, from a speculative point of view, that the prices would be continuing to fall, or if they were going to be, if it looked like they would be picking up, if some of these things were bargains that in the near future would, double or triple in value relatively soon. So it's a very interesting time. Everyone's trying to predict the future, and no one really knows exactly what is going to happen. And sometimes even if you do know what's going to happen, even if you have the opinion like, hey, these are going to be worth, twice or 3 times the amount in 10 years, you still may not have the liquidity or the wherewithal to actually take advantage of those things. The super rich may have that, but people, maybe middle of the road collectors who want to get a signature piece like this, don't have that wherewithal.
I've heard an interesting conversation about this topic: liquid assets or people having money. And as far as I remember, somebody said people who buy those very expensive watches don't care about the food bill or the bill of the education of their kids. I have a different kind of opinion, because many people are maxed out with assets, no matter if they're buying expensive watches, expensive houses, expensive cars, and so on and so on. And when the economic recession hits them, they're trying to find a way what asset is most easily to be sold, and a watch is relatively quickly sold. So they get rid of it, particularly when they paid it with the Bitcoin gains.
Sure.
So, in my opinion, even rich people are dumping their watches because they have to pay some bills, and probably they have too many assets and not enough cash.
Yeah, so I mean, some of these results, you would think that they would go for more. I mean, there was a Rainbow Daytona, or Lot 41, that sold for 480, hammer price of 480. You would think that would have been higher, because I think those are trading around 750 the last time I checked, but maybe they've just really crashed. There was a lot number 12, which was a yellow gold Daytona from like an old John
Player.
Mayerish. Yeah, John Player, and it sold a hammer price of 160. I think probably with fees, it came out to like 200,000, which some people also said seemed a little low. This is a beautiful, beautiful watch.
Yeah, but we had that discussion before. 10 years ago, nobody really wanted those watches. So, in my opinion, $200,000 is still a lot of money for a gold Daytona.
Yeah, and just to go back to your Ferdinand Berthoud discussion, yeah, that was very cool. Very cool. Seeing that brand, and I was unfamiliar because I was not paying as much attention as I should during the Swis and Jon show.
Yes.
Over the past year. My apologies for that.
We caught you.
Cool. Yeah, cool seeing a representative from the Maison there demonstrating the new FP3, which is what actually caught my attention, is not the vertical hairspring at the beginning, but mainly just the stunning design of the watch, which caught my attention. And then you learn more about, the technology behind it.
Who carries the brand in New York? Is it Cellini?
Yes, Cellini Jewelers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I found interesting is that steel 222, which sold for 80,000. A couple of years ago, nobody really wanted them.
Yes. Well, there's a research. I mean, and then there's Lot 68, which was a bimetal
68.
version of the 222
Yep.
From 1979 that sold for 38,000.
Yeah. Well, we had those discussions over and over. Is a steel Daytona really more valuable than a white gold one? And the same argument could be done here with those two watches. Yes. Yeah. And in my opinion, the unique design of the 222 it's much more emphasized on the two-tone than on the steel one. So I pulled up that FP Jon Vagabondage, not related to bondage and discipline, which sold for 300,000 Swiss francs, which is also very remarkable because it is not the traditional shape. It has a remontoire to move those discs, and very low number. I found that a very interesting watch. And just 2 days ago, my friend Jacopo from Italy showed me a picture of a platinum watch of that kind. He sold that watch 10 years ago to a client and now bought it back. So he owns that platinum watch now. He told me he paid less than the 300,000.
Really?
Didn't tell
This
me.
this is a piece with which I'm not familiar at all, actually.
I think FP Jon only made editions of 60 each metal, so it is a very limited number that they did. Number 47 out of 68 in pink gold, and the same number has been produced in platinum and also I think in yellow gold. But in general, that vagabondage is not their most popular model, but it's gaining performance, in my opinion.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's the ability to see the subdials underneath, which is kind of similar to kind of the what Lang is doing with the Lumen series?
I think it's just the uniqueness, because we all know the round FP Jons, and people are just trying to find something else and unique from the same brand that is so high in demand. I personally wouldn't pay that money because I don't like the case shape, but I think it's just odd and unusual and rare, so people are willing to pay that amount of money. What do you think, Muhammad Ali?
He's speechless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm speechless. You're absolutely right.
So Thomas Burnett is asking to pull up number 72. Was that the Omega with the protective case? No, that was the other one.
Flightmaster prototype.
There's a GMT prototype, as far as I know, isn't it?
Yeah, 24-hour hand Flightmaster prototype.
Yeah. Very interesting. 138,000. But I'm the wrong guy to comment on Omega. So it says during the collaboration between NASA and Omega, they were trying to create a GMT. What I found more interesting or more significant was that Speedmaster with a protective case. I think it's number 74. Yeah, with a thermoprotective case. So that has been done for NASA. You have those extended push buttons, and also those hands are very unique. I think I mentioned it before. They didn't do the shape of a space shuttle. Some research hinted that this kind of hand can be easier read when you're sitting in a shaking rocket.
This is something that's gotten a little bit more interest lately with the introduction of the Moonswatch mission to Mars.
Yes,
which is big. Has hands similar to this. Kind of, it's inspired by this Alaska Project watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I would only use would go after the Mars watch, just because of those odd hands.
Yeah, I mean that is a kind of a lovely watch. I love the Alaska Project watch. Jonathan, I was going to ask you, you're into your Lange, as everyone knows. Lot number 6, the Lange Olufsen, the blue dial.
Lange blue dial.
Lange 1. Yeah, was that the watch that was only released for 1 year? Or was it a different Lange 1? I know there's one blue one which was only out for 1 year.
There was a blue series that was out for 1 year. I'm not sure if it
says it was part of a limited production series in 2017.
So 1 second. Yeah, part of the limited series production released in 2017, blue series. So I think it is that limited edition.
Yeah.
And I'm quite surprised that the price is relatively low. I'm hearing that blue lung are really selling crazy at the moment.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't jump in, Jonathan, and grab that. It may have been you. Yeah.
I can't buy every watch that is on the market. You know that I'm working on 2 projects, and I have to focus, everything like that. Yes. So what I found significant was that Patek Perpetual Calendar Chrono that went over 1 million. So 24.99 reference, which is considered to be the most beautiful chronograph that or complicated chronograph that Patek made. Usually they have been made with a silverish, silver-colored dial. So only a few instances are known where those super complicated vintage watches have been made with black dials, and that is one of them.
Yeah, I think they did a video. Philips did a video of highlighting 5 watches that they expected to get the biggest hammer prices, and this was one of them. I think they said this was one like the only Patek Philippe of this reference that had an extract confirmed black dial. So
black dial from the factory.
Yes.
I think there are six known examples of this this watch with black dial, but the others have a blank report, or they have been retrofitted. So they were born with a silver dial and then have been changed to black dials. Mm-hmm. So just like you say,
sneaky fikers.
Well, I wonder how difficult it was even back then to get a black dial for such a watch. Because I would guess that Patek was not easy. And this particular watch had an interesting story because apparently it was born with a black dial, and then later it was fitted out with a silver dial, and then was done back to the black dial. So that has quite some history as well, this particular watch. And
with every auction, you know, it rings true that Patek Philippe is the brand that is the most collectible and has the richest history. And there's just so many variations of so many different references. You have to be an expert.
Yeah, and there is always something interesting popping up. So I'm not reading all the Patek books, but I love to read those auction texts and just learn something new that I didn't know about Patek Philippe. So this Zenith we covered last week with that competition chronometer movement. What is your take about it? Because I know that Marco Ferrante is out there and calling them a ripoff. What is your take about it?
Well, it's a very expensive watch. I mean, a ripoff of what?
Well, no, Marco was calling it a money grab when Zenith.
Money grab.
Yeah.
Well, it does have a Kari-Voutilainen dial, but it is a modern piece. Is it really that difficult for him to make that dial today? It's not like.
Well, it's not only the dial; it's the case, and what the value that is in the watch is in the movement. Because those are competition movements. Those have been movements that participated in the chronometer competitions in Neuchâtel.
Right. So this is the one with those the 10 movements that were created.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. So those are, if you compare it in the world of cars, those are race car engines compared to standard engines. And Kari-Voutilainen did a good job in restoring them, slightly upgrading them, but keeping their initial charm. Most of those competition movements didn't even have a shock absorber.
I suppose if you plan to hold on to it for decades, it might be collectible.
I would hope so. I just like the project that Philips Zenith and Kari-Voutilainen were teaming together and doing those unique things, and that just reminds us again how important those developments are and how special those competition movements are.
Yeah, and they did it in coordination with Philips too, because they knew it was going to be auctioned off for charity. It's a lot of cool things coming together.
Yeah. So what else should we cover here? Zenith the Rainbow Daytona 600.
Yeah, I mean, what I was quite impressed. I know a couple of the watches. The auctioneers said that whatever above the retail price, that money was being donated to charity. So there was some kind of charitable point to the kind of some of the watches that were they're going double, triple retail as well.
Yeah, I remember this AP pocket watch. I think we discussed that a year ago. I remember this kind of pocket watch because when I started in retail, that was by far the most expensive watch that we had. Keep in mind, Day-Date back then costed 20,000 Deutschmarks, and we had this Grande Complication pocket watch by AP, and that was 600,000 Deutschmarks. And my job was to remove that every night from the window, put it in the safe, and the next morning I put it back in the window. So that was the most expensive watch that I ever handled.
Wow.
So, but I think a year ago that was below 100,000, and now they are gaining some attention, and it sold for over 200,000.
Good. I also noticed there's a Ming for sale tomorrow. Lot 134.
134.
Be interested, which is I think it's an estimate between 2,000 and 4,000 Swiss francs. That'd be interesting to see, what that goes for.
So that is the copper. Was that the one that was also in blue, or was it a different series? I'm losing a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was a different series.
Okay.
The hands were different. The hands were different. This is
okay.
It's strange when you look through the catalogs. A couple of the options for tomorrow, like 131, then the 2,000 to 4,000 kind of range. And there's also a kind of they're auctioning a book tomorrow as well, 142 as well.
Yeah.
So not everything is kind of super high prices.
So Boxer, the Comex sold for 163,000 Swiss francs, and Thomas Burnett is rightly pointing out to the Royal Oak Concept Michael Schumacher. We were talking about that last week. So that will be auction off tomorrow. 1 second, 181. I'm personally looking forward for that unique Lange piece, that chronograph 1815. So here we have the race timer. I've said it last week. So it is not a traditional rattrapante. It is basically you're sitting in your car, you're starting the lap, and you hit start. When the first lap is over, you hit the button at 9, and then the other second counter is running, and the first second counter stops, and you can read it or record it later. And so that pusher at 9 is starting and stopping the second chronograph function. So basically you have two chronographs in one watch. And I think that will be going far over the estimate. What do you think, Osi?
I have no idea.
No idea? Okay.
No.
So let's have a look here on the Lange, because that is also a piece unique that is sold for charity. Covered that last week already. What number is that? Help me out, guys.
It's not 210, is it?
210? Okay. 209.
No,
yeah.
sorry,
Swis sent me a picture. He was wearing this particular watch on the wrist. He was checking the auctions. So that is the 1815 chronograph in a unique color combination. Absolutely beautiful. One of a kind.
Good. We'll look out for that tomorrow then and see what price it gets.
We'll see. Any other lot that we should cover?
Someone pointed out to me earlier that there is like one of the original bluesies, lot 192.
92.
I'm sorry, 192.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is a 4-digit.
Yeah, 1971 from the original.
Is that
series.
the first time they made this Mariner in gold?
Yeah, I think it's the first time they did the gold bluesy.
Hmm. Beautiful nibble dial. Estimate 30 to 60. I hope that it's going up, but it looks no, it's not bad. From the overview picture, it looked heavily polished, but here on that angle, it looks quite polished off a little bit. But I do hope that it's going higher than the 60. What do you think?
I hope it sells for. Do I want to sell for an artificially high price, or I'm not sure. It's a tough time.
Are you after one?
No, I'm not.
We have designer Atelier here in the house. Hello, good to see you. Okay, so I think we have been here for 1 hour. Like I said, we're gonna have a Swis and Jon show tomorrow. With different topics. I'm pretty sure we will cover the Philips auction again slightly. Thank you very much for hopping on, Muhammad Ali, and thank you very much for hopping on, OC. I'm posting the link again that you guys can join us on the after show. Please don't forget to tune in with Crappy Luxury, who is having his longitude show right now. Thank you very much for looking. Please upvote, and hope to see you all then tomorrow.